I'm Dave Scott, and I'm out here in my yard. It looks like winter, but it's not winter. This is April, and this is kind of a, a rugged day. I got my stretch cord set up. I want to show you some exercises. Done a lot of exercises in the front for freestyle, also affects cycling and running. And I really want to pay attention to your back this time and a little bit of the muscles around the rotator cuff. And I think when we talk about the rotator cuff, there's four specific muscles for swimmers, cyclists, and runners. The big one that generally has trouble is the supraspinatus, which is up on top, and the gap up here with your acromion gets really tight. And so a lot of people have difficulty with range of motion, which I'll go over in just a second. So this series of exercises is really about your lats, your back, your rotator cuff, which is not just those four muscles, but there's about 20 that come in combination in working that whole shoulder joint and increasing your range of motion and also your strength. So here we go on this first one, and I'm just going to bend over on this one, and I'll kind of go through the exercise. So I'm going to weight my heels. I'm going to draw on my belt line muscle called my transverse abdominis. I'm going to bend over so my back is flat, and I have it attached to my tree here, and that's pretty handy. And I'm going to reach up real high on this, and as I pull back, just think of a lat pull down in the gym. So as I'm doing this, you can see my elbows are high, and they're about in line with the middle of my back. So as I come to this set point here, I can really feel my whole back and muscles along my spine starting to work overtime. I'm getting tired. I'll do one rep. So I'm going to go forward again, and I'm going to stretch. And as I'm doing this, my backbone or my scapula is kind of rotating down. So I'm getting movement with my backbone, and that's really key on this. My scapula should move around my rib cage, and I pull back again. So I'm keeping my hands outside of my elbow line, and if you notice, they're about in line with my shoulders, just slightly lower. I'll do another one here, and I'm going to go back here again. And as I do this, I can sink hard in my heels, draw my belly in, and now there's two separate positions. So that's exercise number one. 8 to 12 reps. You can kind of pulse on that last one and get a really nice contraction. I'm going to come forward slightly. Look at the position of my hands are in front of my head, and I'm going to do a set of clappers. So I'm going to go to abduction where I am right now, and I want to retract my shoulder blades. So I'm going to come up a little bit higher, point my thumbs down, and I'm going to come all the way in and clap my hands and then rotate back up again, and really emphasize as we're abducting here and I'm retracting my shoulder blades. I'm getting a nice contraction in my back. And then I'm going to go forward just a little bit further. Same motion again. Down and back. Okay, I'm going to flip it around here. Those are the first three. And now, number 4. Got to get my camera crew set up here. Number 4 is we lose a lot of range of motion, okay? And as I start with my hands down at my side, and I'm going through this whole abduction motion, as I'm doing this, my thumbs are coming up, and I'm going to reach overhead. I want you to take a look because I'm a good example. My left side, I don't have the range of motion because I was hit by an SUV, and that lat, I had a little bit inferior dip with my scapula, and it still is kind of funny. It's 11 years later, so I don't have the reach overhead. So when I'm in shoulder flexion here overhead, I can't quite get this one up high enough. So this one, I'm going to go in abduction as I'm going out, and I'm going to finish with a big high overreach. And as I'm doing this, obviously I have the cords pulled pretty tight. I can increase that tension, draw my belly in, and here's the motion, full range. Come all the way down to my hips, thumbs up first, and I'm going to have my thumbs back slightly and come up overhead. And again, I'm limited on this reach, all right? That's the 4th exercise. The next one is I'm actually going to start out here in front, or excuse me, down at my thighs, same sort of motion, but I'm going to go through shoulder flexion. So I'm going to come forward, and as I do this, my scapula is rotated forward, so it's coming around my rib cage, and I'm coming up over my head for a big overhead reach. And as I'm doing this, I don't want to arch my back. That's a tendency for a lot of people to try to get more length doing this. Stand nice and tall, neck in a neutral position, and then I'm going to come down again. So right at my thighs, thumbs come up first, and I'm getting a big overhead reach. This is shoulder flexion, so I'll put those two in combination, okay? Next exercise is I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do just kind of a hitchhiking. So I'm going to face camera a little bit more, and as I do this hitchhiking motion, my hands are out, thumbs are out, and I'm just going to kind of rotate here, and I want equal tension. My right side's not quite as tight, but just a tight little motion. Now I can increase this, and now I'm in shoulder extension a little bit. My hands are behind, and I'm hitchhiking, so the motion is out, and I'm going out only out to about 45 degrees, and then back down to my thigh, and then coming out again. Okay, that's the next exercise. Next one, I'm going to do a set of clappers and a serratus anterior push. So this one, my arms are out to the side, I'm just below shoulder height, and I'm going to come all the way together and then clap my hands. And I'm kind of cheating a little bit on camera, so I'm not quite as neutral as you should be. So I'm going to come together, straight arms on this, and as I come back, I can increase this and really squeeze my scapula together. So I'm getting a nice stretch here. I don't want to force this by doing this like that, because I get this big anterior glide with my humerus. So just come to the point where you get into this nice stretch and clap together. And then the last one is almost looking like a push-up, but I'm standing facing camera, bringing my hands in, and I'm going to push forward and then squeeze together with my thumb. So I'm going to push forward, my hands are open, and then squeeze together. That's this series, and you're going to love this series because it feels really great on your back. You're working all those muscles getting around your rotator cuff, somewhere between the 8 to 12 reps. Go through that cycle once and do it again, and you can always pulse the exercise on the end for the last couple reps where you're doing 5 to 10 seconds where you're just kind of pulsing the exercise where you have a lot of tension. And this particular exercise at the end, and I come together, I can just kind of pulse this movement here, because that feels great on my serratus anterior. I feel this in my pecs. They're obviously shortening when I'm doing this. And then you can come back, finish with a nice big open stretch. That's it for today. It's time to get warm. Talk to you soon.